Utah Stories podcast is brought to you by Utah State, home of the Aggies. Living on campus means more sleep, more friends, and better grades. While others are driving or walking to campus, you are getting those precious extra minutes of sleep. Instead of going home to mom or your cat, you're hanging out with roommates, neighbors, and friends. 84% of USU students live away from home, making on-campus housing a community of academic support, peers, mentors, friends, and constant activities. For a virtual tour, room details, theme options, and to apply, visit usu.edu/housing. The Utah Story Show is brought to you by Legends. Legends is locally owned and operated and is serving up all your classic favorites and unique originals too. Their food is made fresh with real, wholesome, delicious ingredients. They have everything from awesome appetizers to main dishes like steaks, burgers, sandwiches, salads, pizzas, and calzones, plus a new gluten-free and vegetarian options. Finish off your meal with mouth-watering desserts. They have a full bar, and they have excellent lineup of local craft beers. I suggest you go check out one of the upcoming Jazz games or U of U games at Legends. It's always off the hook awesome there. And kick back and watch your favorite games on big screens. They have the best food and sports in town. Call ahead and reserve a space if you're going to bring a large group. And Legends accommodates all ages. They have 2 locations to serve you, one at downtown Salt Lake City at 677 South, 200 West, and one in Southtown, brand new, at 10631 South Holiday Park Drive. So were you, when you were growing up, were you organized about your education in martial arts, or was it pretty much just like all out fighting?
It was just all out fighting for sure. Yeah, I just kind of threw whatever I knew and defended myself. At a young age, I got into so many fights. My mom and my stepdad at the time put us into Taekwondo. I think I was about 9 years old, and that was kind of my first taste of martial arts and being disciplined and being respectful. And so I loved it, but I just had a bad temper, I think, and I remember sparring during training in Taekwondo, and I lost my temper, and ever since then my sensei would put me on the side and be like, "Oh, you can't spar," and I got over it real quick. I'm like, "No, this is boring, dude." So I got out, and then I found boxing. So I found my coach, Carlos Wagner. Started boxing probably 10, 11 years old, and just fell in love with it, and I was like, "This is it," and just kind of ran with it.
So more than Taekwondo, you like boxing?
Yeah. Just more physical, I think, less katas or patterns. It was just more of a thinking and strategic game for me, so I loved it more, I think, at that time.
Do you still use your Taekwondo in MMA, or is it more your boxing?
I think I use it all now. I do Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, wrestling, and boxing. So striking is definitely my forte. I love to stand up and I love to strike, but I love the ground as well, but I feel more comfortable standing up because that's kind of my base where I started. So boxing and then Muay Thai, it's kind of tied it all together. And so most of my fights, I like to keep it standing, but a lot of them end up finishing on the ground.
And how do you explain the difference between Muay Thai and Taekwondo?
Oh, it's a good question. Muay Thai is a little more aggressive, I guess you could say. Like in Thailand, they sit there, stand in front of each other, and literally just kick each other till someone quits. And there's really no patterns to it, and there's no, I don't know. And then Taekwondo, a lot of fancy flying kicks and spinning kicks and stuff like that, which is great in its own. And a lot more patterns, or katas is what they call it. And so I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a lot different.
I try to navigate the world of different martial arts, and it seems like there's a lot of overlap between different disciplines.
Yeah, for sure.
But then there's, what I can remember about the beginnings of MMA was watching this guy Hoist Gracie
Yeah.
just obliterate the competition
Right.
because he had used the best of what was it, jiu-jitsu and judo,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and he just knew how to grapple
Right.
and get people in these arm bars and just do this amazing stuff with on the ground. And being, he was probably 150 pounds,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, fighting 200-some-pound people. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And at that time, no one knew what jiu-jitsu was, right? So
Especially Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, exactly. So it was easy for him to go in there and just annihilate the competition because nobody expected it. Most people knew what wrestling was, boxing, karate, but when jiu-jitsu came in, he was wearing his gi. He was like, what is this guy doing? Tapping guys out, choking them out. It was pretty crazy.
And how did you initially get attracted to MMA? Was it by watching those early guys? Or?
Yeah. I remember in school, for recess or lunch, we would sneak into my social studies teacher's classroom, and we'd eat lunch in there, and he'd put in the VHS tapes at the time of the UFC fights, and we'd just sit there and watch every day. We'd come in, and he'd close all the blinds, close the doors, lock it, and there's a select few he'd let us come in and just watch. I think his name was Mr. Robinson, now that I think about it. But yeah, that was kind of where my first taste of oh, that's cool. I want to do that. So I remember watching Shamrock and a bunch of other guys. That was just insane. Vitor Belfort, I think, was one of my first ones that I was like, dude, that guy was insane. He just demolished the dude. And he was, I think, 18, maybe 19 at the time.
What's his name?
Vitor Belfort.
Vitor Belfort.
Yeah, Vitor.
I don't think I know him.
Yeah, I think he just recently retired from the UFC. But he was young at the time, and he just demolished this kid, dude. It was, I think it was Vanderlei Silva, if I remember correctly.
And what do you think it is that's made that sport just explode in popularity?
I think the organization of the UFC and making it more professional as a sport versus a bloodbath type thing. Because back in the day as well, when they first started, I don't think they had any gloves or padding on the knuckles. Really no rules. They would kick them on the ground. It was insane. So I think the rules, and then just the high organizations made it a lot better and safer. As I guess as safe as you can make it for the fighter too, right?
Is that something you worry about constantly when you're in the ring, that your safety, or do you not?
No, I don't think about that at all. I think I just take what's in front of me and try to dismantle it. It's always a puzzle. It's a game in there. It's not just I'm going to go in there and kill this guy. I'm in here seeing what he's doing, setting some stuff up, and if he makes a mistake, I'll capitalize on that mistake. And I'm sure most people are doing that too, right?
So what's your mindset? Are you looking to exploit weaknesses, or are you just trying to use your advantages to weaken your opponent?
A little bit of both, I think. I definitely want to keep it to my strengths wherever we are, either on the ground or standing. But I definitely want to exploit weaknesses out there so that I can see openings and capitalize on that.
And what are the weaknesses that you think you most commonly can find and exploit?
It's usually people think I don't have a good ground game or jiu-jitsu, and that I'm just a striker. So most of my opponents try to take me down, which I'm fine with because I'm comfortable on the ground. I drill jiu-jitsu at least 2-3 times a week for a few hours a day, so I'm like, whatever, bring it. It's just one of those things that, I don't know, I love it. So it's it's MMA, right? So you got to know it all. You got to do your striking, your wrestling, jiu-jitsu. If you don't do that stuff, you're in the wrong sport, especially nowadays. These kids that are coming up are just phenomenal.
Yeah, it seems like it's becoming, now that it's become so popular, and now that there are quite a few people now being able to make a living at it.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you find that the level of training of everyone has just been elevated, and if you don't have those hardcore skills, you just can't.
You can't compete. Yeah, I agree totally.
Yeah,
especially now, the evolution of MMA is insane, and these kids are just getting so much better every year. So if you're not keeping up with them, you're not doing your strength training, all that stuff, you're falling behind one step at a time. So
And do you see very often like boxers come in where they're all their training has been boxing and now they want to just try out MMA like Conor McGregor did, where they just make the changeover?
Yeah, I haven't seen too many, but I'm sure everyone has a base, I believe. Whether it be wrestling, they started wrestling in high school, whatever, and then they kind of transitioned to MMA and mold it all together.
Well, actually, Conor McGregor was MMA and he
And
tried
then,
boxing.
yeah,
You know,
box.
that's just the opposite.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So.
I can't imagine that. I mean, the world I'm kind of more familiar with is boxing. I grew up watching Mike Tyson.
Cool.
I'm a huge Tyson fan.
Yeah.
I mean, I really love the sport of boxing because it is sort of limited to two men and a certain amount of technique and very hardcore rules. But then on the other side, MMA is so completely different because you have so fewer rules. But it is to the point now where I think the rules have come in enough where if I remember what I read, is it as safe or even safer than boxing now?
Yeah, I would think so. I think obviously we have more weapons to use, so it's definitely a lot more dangerous, I believe. Because I mean, you get elbow, you cut people all the time.
Yeah.
And with boxing, you got the hand, your big old glove, so it's hard to cut someone.
Seems like traumatic brain injury might be worse.
Might be worse for sure in the long run. So you can definitely keep yourself a little safer because you can always take the guy to the ground and kind of nullify his striking and vice versa. So I think it's up in the air for that as far as being safe.
And tell me about your career. How many fights have you fought, and what's been the outcome?
So I'm 8-1 as an amateur, and I'm now 6-3 as a pro. And it's been fun. My first pro fight was actually here in Utah. I had a lot of my fights in Hawaii and Maui, and then recently moved. I've been here for about 5 years now, I believe, and started off training at the garage back in the day with David Castillo, and he got me my first fight out here. Can't remember, the Clash I think was the first one. It was my last amateur fight out here, and then I turned pro after that, and so it's been a good run.
How did you decide to turn pro?
It's just something I knew I wanted to do. I wanted to do it a long time before that, but I always traveled for work and stuff in Maui, so my fighting career was kind of off and on. It wasn't a consistent run. I'd fight a year and then I'd take off for a year and a half or two and then come back home and fight for a couple of times and so on. But yeah, so when I was here, I moved to Utah. We started our own gym called Koa, and that's kind of when I knew I was like, all right, I'm gonna pursue this fight career because I'm here, I'm in one place, and this is all I do. And so I was like, all right, I'm all in. So it's kind of where I'm at now. I'm training at Koa, coaching. And then I fly back and forth from Colorado to here to train with Dwayne. And so I have a team that I train with here, and then I have a team I train with in Colorado. And now I'm cross-training with the guys at the pit as well. I just actually came from there. So shout out to those guys. They're awesome. They're welcoming me in there, and there's some good guys. Court McGee's in there, and Ramsey, some of the top guys that's been in the top competition. So it's good to rub shoulders with those guys for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
And how do you describe like the LMA? How does that fit in with the UFC universe? I mean, I think most people know UFC, and then there's another one almost equal to UFC that's
Bellator, I believe. Yeah,
Bellator.
Yeah. So yeah, LFA. I believe they're like a stepping stone to the UFC. They're kind of like, I guess, college football, and then you got NFL, right? It's kind of that similar step. And
a lot of younger fighters in there.
Yeah, a lot of younger fighters, hungry, guys that just want to make it to the next level, and this is a step they need to take. Well, not the only step, but one of them that you can take to the big leagues kind of thing. And it's been great for Utah fighters for sure, putting eyes on us, as fighters, and kind of highlighting us and putting us on the TV and a little bit of bigger show in the arenas. So it's pretty cool. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, when I saw you guys are going to be in the Maverick Center this Friday and Saturday. Is that right?
Yeah, Friday, September 6th, I believe.
Oh, September 6th. So
Yeah.
so in a few weeks from
Yeah.
now. Do you get a lot of gigs there in the Maverick Center now?
As far as for fighting,
Yeah.
you know what? No, they're the only ones so far that's been here in Utah that has done an arena show. From what I know, I've only been here for long, but I think there used to be another one. I think there was like Showdown back in the day. It was a kind of a bigger name, but they stopped for a while now. I'm not sure, but yeah, LFA is definitely the only ones that are doing arena shows for MMA, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, in Utah.
And have quite a few fighters gone from LFA to go to UFC or
Yeah,
Bellator?
they sign people all the time. Actually, this fight, Clay Collard was supposed to be the main event, but the UFC needed someone for that weight class, and they're like, "Here, take Clay Collard. He's up." So he just got the call to the UFC, which is freaking amazing. He didn't even have to fight on the LFA card this time, and I think he's actually went to the UFC once before, and I don't know what happened. I don't know his career too well, but I've heard of him a lot, and he's really good. And yeah, so he just got recently signed from this fight alone. It's pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how is it when you're at the level you're at? Are you able to earn some money from bouts, and is there a purse for certain fights you do?
Yeah, for sure. You know, you get to negotiate your pay and stuff like that. There's some money involved, but it's nothing huge. You know what I mean? Not till you get to the big leagues. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and a lot of it comes through sponsors. Like I have a lot of sponsors that help me through training because I do travel a lot. So without my sponsors, I don't think I'd be able to train as much as I do and do what I do, you know, and train where I train. So sponsors definitely help a lot in that. And then, you know, we do get some money from fighting, and then selling tickets as well helps us out as fighters. You know, the more tickets we sell, the better commission we get off of it, type of thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So you kind of have probably your own personal following, and you can help promote your bouts and sell
Yeah,
more
for
tickets
sure.
that way.
Yeah. I've been lucky out here with my gym and everything. I've got a huge following back in like Layton area. It's kind of where our gym's at, and my girlfriend's family's huge. Like they got a big family, so and they know a lot of people, and so they support me as well. So that helps a ton for sure.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And how do you like living in Utah?
You know what? It's actually been really, really awesome. Like we travel all the time, and do like we razor camping all the time, and now we've gotten into wake surfing. So kind of supplements itself. Like there's a lot to do out here. It's a different beauty for sure, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, the winter's not so fun for me right now. It's too cold.
You should go back to Hawaii.
Yeah, I should.
You still have family out there?
Yeah. I got my mom and my brother out there, and my nieces and nephews. A bunch of my cousins and stuff live out there.
Yeah,
so
you can go crash
Yeah.
anytime you want.
for sure, yeah, makes it easy to go home and a little cheaper than most people. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And is the sport just a lot bigger in Utah than it is in Maui?
No, I don't think so. Maui is huge. It's a huge venue for fighters. It's just Utah is just a bigger state, right? So in Hawaii, you're kind of limited in a sense. I mean, you're living on an island, you know, so it's not very many eyes on you until you make it big. I think there's a show down there on Oahu that they're doing. Can't remember the show's name, but they I think that's one of the biggest shows out there in Hawaii that try to sign people to the next level, like UFC or Bellator and stuff like that. Yeah, so I mean, it's there. It's a huge following for MMA for sure, because like I said, that's all they do is fight out there, man. You know,
Yeah.
which is better than shooting people, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, bare knuckles is a lot better than guns and
Yeah,
bare
yeah.
bullets.
Right.
Well, we'll take a little break,
Cool.
and when we get back, we'll talk more about the MMA sport and Bobby King.
Cool.
Right when we come back. Want to tell everybody about our Made in Utah festival that is Saturday and Sunday at the Gateway. So this is our 5th year doing this festival, and it's really a way we raise money for the magazine and raise money to write more stories about Utah people, Utah entrepreneurs. And last year it was quite amazing. Every year before then we'd had about 3,000 to 5,000 people. Last year 15,000 people came to our festival, and it just sort of blew up. And it was amazing to see that, and so we decided this year to expand it to Saturday and Sunday, August 24th and 25th. And the Gateway's been awesome to work with. They're allowing us to have the whole lower part of the mall and we'll have over 100 vendors who are selling made in Utah products. The way I like to describe it is it's a farmer's market on steroids, because the whole thing, we have a liquor license, we have 2 sound stages, we have 16 bands booked to perform throughout Saturday and Sunday, and then we have a VIP experience, which is totally awesome. You can sample food from downtown Salt Lake City restaurant chefs, and for $35 you get 2 cocktails, you get a whole lot of restaurant entree and tapa samples, you get a spa treatment. It's just an amazing value. So if you go to madeinutahfest.com, you can get more information on that. And again, it's August 24th and 25th at the Gateway.
That's cool.
All right, we're back with Bobby King, and so when you set your sights on becoming a professional fighter, do you find that it's the type of sport where you got to start at a really young age to be great at it, or is it the kind of thing where if you have that inborn natural talent, you can start at a later age and be okay and still be competitive?
I think it's a little bit of both, and mentality too. Like, because you look at John Jones, he didn't really start till later on. He wasn't into martial arts growing up. But yeah, I believe, you have a better chance for sure if you start at a young age.
More of the top pros or people who started at younger ages.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess it depends on your skill, your talent, and a lot of it's your weight class too. Like, the weight classes depend, the heavier weight classes, there's not so many people in it. And if you look at like the lightweight weight class, they're just monsters, and there's a ton of people. It's just like the average guy that's that weight class. And so you have to kind of...
So it's really stacked.
Yeah.
At the light end.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So you got to kind of fight your way up there, So, yeah.
What's your weight class?
I normally fight at 155, but I'll be fighting at 145 for this fight.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's lean.
Yeah. Yeah. Got some weight to lose.
Is it hard? Sure. Is it pretty hard to make weight at that level?
This is my first time dropping to 145, but I'm on track as far as my weight cut. So, I feel fine. I feel like I got a ton of energy, still training hard. I got another this week and next to train, and then one more week to weight cut. And a lot of people do like a water weight cut, so deplete all the water and dehydrate themselves. And we can lose anywhere from 10 to 15 pounds depending on your body.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's kind of crazy. People got it down to a science now, and it's just about rehydrating after that. So,
just like getting in a sauna with a bunch of towels over
you. Yeah. So a lot of us do like Epsom salt baths, which suck. You get in there 30 to 45 minutes, and it just sucks everything out, and you sweat a ton, stay in 30, 45 minutes, and you can lose anywhere from 2 to 3 pounds. You do that a few times, or you sit in the sauna for a few hours, hop out. So you got to kind of watch your body temperature, because once you overheat, it'll hold the water. So you kind of got to go back and forth, in and out, so that you stay at the right temperature to sweat everything out. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, I didn't know all this until I moved out here, and actually Dave Castillo is the one who taught me it, which is pretty cool. So. Yeah.
And what about nutrition? Like, do you have a really strict diet that you have to adhere to maintain your energy levels and the amount of muscle mass you need to gain? And
yeah, for sure. It definitely helps if you know what you're doing as far as nutrition. It definitely helps you to keep your energy levels high and deplete, fat. But you don't want to, obviously can't even just talk right now. But yeah, you don't want to deplete too many fats. Like you still want to have fat for energy, right? And that's kind of what we do towards the end. For myself, I can't speak for everyone, but I kind of go on this keto diet type thing where I try to burn fat as energy. And then, but again, I'm from Hawaii and I'm Asian. I love rice, so I can't do the whole keto thing, man. It's crazy. But yeah, it's kind of similar to that.
High protein, low carb.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it's usually that last week, it's pretty much just hell. You're just barely eating. You're still training, still trying to lose weight and get sweat, out. It's definitely the hardest part, I think, of the whole thing. If you can get through that, and you can pretty much get through any of it.
So do you plan out every single meal that you're going to eat? every day, or?
For the most part, yeah. For the most part, it's planned out. I know what I'm gonna eat for breakfast, lunch and dinner, your snacks and everything like that. You know, occasionally we'll kind of screw up, and if you're out for dinner or you got a family party or something, you kind of eat, you know, some chocolates or whatever here and there. But it's pretty strict, and a lot of it's organic, so that, you know, helps a ton too.
Yeah, I'm a trail runner, and I've learned as I've gotten more into training that nutrition is about as important as training.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like you get stuck at a plateau, and you realize, man, I just cannot run any faster, and I can't go any further. And then when you figure out that nutrition part of the puzzle, it's amazing what a massive difference that makes.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And is that something that you learned along the way? Is that reinforced, or is that something once you get to a higher level, that's really where you
I think I just understanding my body and how it responds to different food. I definitely learned that along the way, trial and error. You know, I've been lucky enough to not miss weight on any of my fights, but there's been definitely some hard weight cuts which suck. That I can, just because, you know, lack of nutrition or right foods and whatnot.
Where you just maybe drink a few too many beers,
Yeah,
and it's too hard to get it off.
Yeah,
That's
for sure.
what I run into.
Yeah.
I like beer,
Uh-huh.
and I'll just drink 4 beers, and then I'm just hating it for like the next 2-3 days. I can't run as far.
Right.
I noticed that my asthma is actually linked to my beer consumption.
That's crazy.
And gluten, it just wreaks havoc on my body. I never knew that until I really started getting into it.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, understanding your body is a huge part too, right? What it responds to. I think. I mean, I know my body pretty well. I know what it responds to. So for me, it's the nutrition part comes a little bit easier, I think, than most. Just, I think the hardest part is not wanting that Diet Coke or that dessert at the end of the meal type thing, you know.
You cut out desserts completely.
Yeah, cut out desserts, Diet Cokes, just, you know, water and
no soda, no beer,
nothing
like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's brutal. So, what was the deciding factor for you to come to Utah?
My girlfriend, her family's out here.
I thought there had to be something.
Yeah. She actually moved to Hawaii. She lived there for about 10 years, and we met out there. And I stopped traveling with the Cirques, and so we were home for about. I was home for about 6 months, and she's like, my nieces and nephews are growing up. I gotta see them, and so we literally picked up and left within a month, and like sold everything, came out here with nothing, and then we just moved and hung out with the family. We lived with her brother for a while, and then finally got on our feet and kind of got our own spot and stuff. But yeah, cool. So moved out here for her and her family.
Nice.
And just a different experience.
How old are you?
I am 35.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself going? Do you want to go to the UFC and try to get to that?
Yeah, I mean I think that's the ultimate goal, right? To get to the UFC and win the world title. I think if you're not in it with that mindset, you know, you might as well bail out early.
Yeah.
You know.
What is it going to take for you to get to the next level, do you think?
I'm not sure. I think just putting on a good show and letting them know I'm here. You know, I'm here and I'm here to battle and I'm here to put on a show for them. So.
Is 35 old?
Yeah, I think 35 is pretty old.
It's getting up there.
It's getting up there for sure. Yeah. But I feel like I haven't been in many battles, like crazy battles, like a lot of these people have, and.
Yeah, you don't look beat up.
Yeah.
You don't have the cauliflower here. You usually see.
Yeah, I think that's why people think my jiu-jitsu sucks. But, yeah, no, I haven't been in many battles, so I still feel young, you know. I feel like I'm 25 and ready to go. My stamina's there, my strength's there, my IQ's there, so I feel like I could still make it up there and take it to the top for sure.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's about it. So September
6th.
September 6th at the Maverick Center. I guess that's a huge arena, so I guess there's probably tickets available.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we hope to come out and see you,
cool.
Bobby, and we'll keep our eye on you and
Okay.
Yeah,
Would love your
I'm
support.
excited about this sport. I just think it's a new frontier, and it's like it seems like the level of competition increases every single year, and the moves that guys are coming out with, and the ingenuity and innovation, it's just at a different level than what you see in boxing right now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it seems like the pay-per-view dollars coming in from MMA are
They're
amazing.
huge. Yeah, it's been awesome. It's been good.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. And if you would like to be a part of the Utah Stories program, we're now doing live feed for all of our shows. So you can chime in through our YouTube channel. We'd like to start taking questions. And our shows are typically on Tuesday. We typically have one at 12:30, one at 1:30. And we'll try to promote these shows now that we think we figured it out. Obviously we have technical glitches, but I think for the most part we've got it figured out. But I'd suggest you go to utahstories.com and subscribe to our newsletter, because there is where you can find out everything we're doing, and you can also get all of our great local journalism and learn more about our festivals and everything that's going on. And you can also follow us on Instagram, and I hope to see everybody at our Made in Utah Festival August 24th and 25th. And until then, this has been Richard Marcosian signing out. The Utah Stories Show is brought to you in part by Curry Pizza. So Curry Pizza opened their first location in Bicknell, Utah. It was called Binda's Curry Pizza Palace, and it ended up being a huge hit with the locals. And what's interesting, Binda, despite being an Indian man and opening a tiny little restaurant in a tiny little town in Utah, had his restaurant recently featured on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. He's like now blowing up the curry pizza concept. He has a location in West Valley. He offers pizzas like chicken tiki masala pizza, old world Mediterranean with fresh Italian sausage, spices, and he has something called a mango korma pizza. We've been eating it here at the office, and it is really delicious. I really suggest you go check out Curry Pizza. The Utah Story Show is also brought to you by Paisley's Grass-Fed Beef. So another thing we were munching on here at the office is Paisley's Grass-Fed Beef Jerky. It is really awesome. It's tender, it's moist, it's delicious. It comes in a pack that it maintains the moisture. You can now buy Paisley's at Harmon's, and you'll also find him at the biggest farmers markets around town. He's always at the downtown Salt Lake City Farmers Market on Saturdays. I think he's now doing also the Ogden Farmers Market on Saturdays, Park Silly Market on Sundays. On Friday is at the Liberty Park Farmers Market. This guy, Benjamin, is getting around, and Paisley's Grass-Fed Beef, if you go check out their website at paisleys.com, there's a special going on right now on ribeyes, and it's grass-fed beef. If you don't know, it's definitely more tasty than corn-fed or corn-finished beef. It's all I'll eat now because it's more sustainable. The animals spend their entire lives in fields, and you can feel good about eating beef again if you choose to eat grass-fed beef. The Utah Story Show is brought to you by Curry Pizza, Paisley's Grass-Fed Beef, Utah State, home of the Aggies, Legend Sports Bar and Grill. We thank them for their support of this program.